All right, here's kind of an interesting question. Do you have a friend who knows a little bit too much about everything and is going to tell you about it, whether you want them to or not?
I have a couple of those friends. Well, one man has taken that and turned it into a new show. We talked to him. Take a look.
All right, here's a few random questions. Do you think that you're doing good when you donate shoes to people in Africa? Do you think the TSA keeps us safe? Or do you think that seafood, the one that you order when you go out for dinner, do you think it's good for you? Well, get ready to have your mind blown, because one man has made it his mission to, well, ruin everything for us. The man who uses facts and science to turn our worlds upside down is host Adam Conover. Now, Adam, I've never wanted to thank somebody for ruining everything for us, but I'm going to thank you for that.
Oh, well, thanks so much. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I know, the way our show works is, we tell you this information. It's a little bit of like of an interruption and sort of a breach. It's a little uncomfortable to hear this stuff the first time, but we hope that at the end of the day, you actually, are better for having learned the information.
Well, we do learn a lot when we watch the show, Adam, but it's also really funny. It's kind of one of those things you can't wait to call your friend and say, did you know, X, Y, and Z? Because you cover everything. I know I kind of hit on a couple of them when I was introducing you, but you guys do everything from like history all the way to like sex.
Yes, exactly. We talk about, on the show, our topic is anything I call like the furniture of society. Like it's anything that we sort of take for granted that has been lying around for a long time, and we don't really think about why we have that around anymore. Like a really good example is an episode we have is about summer vacation, about how, if you think about it, we just take that for granted, right? Yeah, kids get June from August to off every year, right? But then you ask, why do we do it, actually? Kids, their whole job is to learn, right? As adults, we're like, yeah, the kids should be learning year-round. So why do they take a break for 3 months? It turns out the only reason they do is because 100 years ago we didn't have air conditioning and classrooms were too hot for for kids to stay in. But now they obviously can stay in class, and it turns out studies show that those 3 months off cause kids to forget what they learned and fall behind in class, especially lower-income kids who can't go to summer camp or do other activities. So it turns out that this thing that we don't really ask ourselves the question, why do we do this, turns out to be like hurting the kids that, we think it should help.
Yeah, but you know that every kid right now is going, Adam, shh, be quiet, stop saying that.
Yeah, exactly. The kid inside me is doing that too. And I remember spending 3 months on my belly playing video games on the floor. I loved it, right? But it was maybe not that good for me, And kids get plenty of breaks. They still get weekends off,
Some of us don't even get that.
Yeah.
Well, I always
exactly.
wonder.
Adults, we're lucky.
Well, I'm wondering, when you're doing everything from telling us about Listerine to summer vacations to, lie detector tests and everything, how do you decide what you're going to basically ruin for us? What do you have a team of people that sit around and think about this?
Yes, we have a team of writers and researchers in a, sort of traditional comedy writers' room, and we specifically hired people who had a broad base of knowledge and knew a lot of things like this. And we would just have big conversations about hey, what do you guys know? What have you heard? And we would basically try to blow each other's minds in the writers' room. So I would say something like, hey, I read that, lie detector tests are a total hoax. They don't work. There's no such thing as a lie detector. And if you think about it, it's kind of a silly idea. Humans are really complicated. There's no reason to think that a very simple machine that was invented in the 30s, would actually be able to detect lies. And then another writer said, oh, well, I read that, fingerprints, it turns out that whole thing, no two fingerprints are alike. That's not strictly true either. That's never been proven. That's just something that people say to each other. It's just a cliche. There's no real science behind it. And in fact, fingerprint evidence is a very, fallible way to solve crimes. And a lot of people have gone to jail because of gone to jail erroneously because of bad fingerprint evidence. And so we're like, all right, put those together. That sounds like an episode,
Well, Adam, I'm glad that my fiance didn't see the episode where you're going to talk about how engagement rings really are not all that great. So I'm glad I got my ring before that episode actually got to my fiance.
Are you sure? Are you sure you and your husband wouldn't rather have an extra $3,000 in the bank? You know what I mean? Take a trip, That,
I don't know.
I'm just putting it out there. What use are you getting out of the ring right now?
Oh, but it looks so pretty. Adam.
I know it does.
Don't ruin it.
I know it does, but how pretty does it look? You know what I mean? Does it look 4 figures pretty? You know what I mean?
Adam, I can't wait to see what else you possibly have up your sleeve. This is a great show. I know I love the college humor series, so this is going to be a great extension of that. I want to thank you so much for stopping in with us this morning.
Oh, thank you for talking to me.
Well, we're going to see what else Adam is going to ruin, because you can check out Adam Ruins Everything on True TV Tuesday nights. Now, you know what I won't ruin for you? How awesome the rest of our show is. So stay with us. We'll be right back.